Hello, my dear friends, and welcome back to this cozy little corner of Storytime. I'm so glad you're here. Today's story is for everyone, children, teens, and adults alike. Wherever you are, I invite you to settle in, get comfortable, and let's wander into a gentle tale together. Our story begins in a small town where the air always carried the sweet smell of apple blossoms and warm bread. At the edge of the town stretched a wide forest, filled with tall oaks and winding paths that caught the golden light of late afternoons. This forest was a favorite place for a group of friends, 4 children, who loved exploring together. There was Emma, curious and thoughtful; Leo, who laughed easily; Sophie, gentle and kind; and Daniel, who always carried a little notebook for sketching what they saw. The 4 of them met after school at the old wooden gate that led into the trees. With baskets for berries and pockets full of crumbs to feed birds, they set off down the narrow trails, their voices mixing with the cheerful songs of robins overhead. The forest was peaceful that day. Sunlight poured through the leaves in soft beams, and the air smelled of pine and earth. But as they walked farther than usual, the children felt a quiet stillness, a hush, as if the woods were holding its breath. Then Emma stopped. "Look," she whispered, pointing ahead. There, beneath a cluster of ferns, lay something pale and still. The children stepped closer, their hearts quickening with a mix of wonder and nervous curiosity. It wasn't frightening. It was strange, almost magical. And though they didn't yet know what it was, they felt the start of a new story waiting for them in the heart of the forest. When they bent closer, they saw it clearly. Not a person, but the delicate bones of a deer. They were pale, softened by moss, surrounded by wildflowers that had grown up around them. A pair of antlers lay nearby, half buried in the earth, with tiny mushrooms sprouting at their base. "It looks like the forest kept it safe," Sophie whispered, her eyes wide but calm. Daniel knelt down, sketching quickly in his notebook. "It's like a memory," he said softly. "Something that stayed behind so the woods would remember." The children didn't feel afraid. In fact, there was something peaceful about the way the bones rested among the flowers, as though nature itself had wrapped them gently in a blanket of green. Birds still sang above, and a breeze stirred the leaves with a sound almost like a lullaby. Emma picked a daisy and laid it carefully beside the antlers. Leo followed, setting down a small pine cone he'd been carrying. One by one, each child left a little token, not because they had to, but because it felt right. They didn't speak much on the walk home, but their hearts felt strangely light. The forest had shared a secret with them, not a scary one, but a quiet reminder of how life and beauty are always intertwined. The next afternoon, the children gathered not in the forest, but in Emma's garden. They brought with them wildflowers, smooth stones, and a small wooden box Leo's grandfather had made. Inside, Daniel placed his drawing of the deer's resting place. Sophie tied it with a ribbon. They weren't mourning, exactly. They were honoring. Together, they built a tiny memory garden under the lilac tree, planting flowers in a circle and placing the decorated box at the center. It became their special place, a quiet corner where they could sit, tell stories, and remember that day in the forest. Whenever they visited, Emma would say softly, "The forest keeps its memories, and so do we." And somehow, that made them feel braver, kinder, and more connected to each other and to the world. Years later, even when the children had grown, the memory garden still bloomed. It stood as a reminder that sometimes what we discover, whether strange, surprising, or even a little sad, can become a gift of beauty when we hold it with kindness. And so, dear listeners, our story closes. Thank you for joining me in this peaceful tale. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and return for more gentle stories. Until next time, may your own discoveries in life always be wrapped in light, wonder, and kindness.